This was a weird year. I feel like pop culture as a whole gave us at the same time so much great and very good stuff, like great albums, great games, few good movies, and most importantly TV show, but at the same time it gave us some ass. There was almost no mid allowed this year. You either were great or you were terrible. And today I want to talk about the really good stuff because there is actually a lot of great TV shows this year that in my opinion deserve a huge shout out. How to be eligible for this list? Simple. A. The season in question had to finish between January 1st or December 31st. For example, there is no Doom Patrol or His Dark Materials because they are not finished yet. B. I had to watch. There is no Wednesday. I didn't watch Wednesday, so give me a break, okay? Number 20 is season 2 of Russian Doll. I liked previous season, it was quite a bit of fun, but in my opinion, season 2 is just an upgrade on every level. Comedy is still very good, Natasha Lyonne is still fantastic, but in my opinion, the storytelling works much better, the story is as a whole much more interesting, and the character work is improved a lot. And a lot of emotions just hit much more this time. My main problem with season 1 was that it kinda didn't allow the viewer to sink in all the drama, it just went ahead with everything. But season 2 sinks in every punch and it's honestly quite great. From a simple comedy ha-has, this show became quite complex, so yeah, watch it if you didn't. Number 19 is season 4 of What We Do in the Shadows. Listen, listen. This may be a much simpler show than the previous one, but god damn was I laughing a lot while watching What We Do in the Shadows. There was a lot of great comedy this year, but this, just for being the most funny, it deserves to be here. But not only the jokes and the ha-has are great, I love what they did with the lore of this show, gave us a lot more info about how the vampires work in this universe, and I love the character progression this season. Simple, yes. Effective, oh yeah. Number 18, please don't laugh, is Rick and Morty. Okay. Chill. I know. I am not a Rick Morty fan. It's fun, but it's also overrated as a motherfucker. But the ending of season 5 puts the show, in my opinion, in a much more interesting place. Shit actually matters now, where in previous seasons it didn't, which was my main problem with this. Stuff that happened felt meaningless, kinda. Now that shit actually matters, and there is actually some continuity, made me actually kinda care now. It was still a filler season somehow, but in my opinion it was a step in the right direction. But please, next season, less incest. Please. Number 17 is season 2 of Resident Alien. Alan Tudyk is an intergalactic treasure. Alan Tudyk is the GOAT. He's one of the best comedy actors on the planet. He's super funny, but he can also give you an emotional performance that you will never forget. As much as I love every single character of this show, Alan Tudyk is untouchable. But enough about him, this show is also just good in general. I love the way this show writes its characters where everybody is just simply likable at some level. It doesn't try to give you like a super layered characters that you have to think 3 days if you should actually like them or not. No, this show just gives you a bunch of characters, you like them, simple as that, and it's just fun, it's fun. It gives off a very wholesome atmosphere despite the fact it does touch on some grim topics. But while the show is mostly a goof, these topics are tackled in an excellent way. The only reason the show ain't higher is because I feel like season 2 was too long. 16 episodes split in 2 was not a good idea, and it kinda brought this show down. But it's still very fun, top to bottom. On number 16 I've put season 1, and If Marvel Ain't a Bunch of Liars, the only season of Moon Knight. This is still my favorite thing to happen in MCU this year. Except maybe Werewolf by Night, but this doesn't count. It just brought this second, because Iron Fist still exists by the way, best Marvel comic book character, and it gave him justice. Oscar Isaac as Max Spector is absolutely amazing. The character is very well written and the Egyptian mythology was adapted in the show very well. Had a few problems, especially the last episode, but still, this show delivered. Number 15 is Only Murders in the Building, Season 2. It's very rare when a TV show gives me a bunch of pals doing stuff energy, but whenever it does, absolutely love it. And I think this may be the prime example of that. This show is simply so fun to watch. No overthinking, no overanalyzing, just watching a great show and having fun. It may seem like not a lot, but it's exactly what the doctor ordered and I really recommend it if you need some great time. But great vibes and just fun is not everything this show has in store. It has very good characters, a very decent intrigue, and the acting is simply fantastic. Not to take away anything from Steve Martin and Martin Short, but Selena Gomez fits this show so perfectly. Her excellent comedy timing and the way she acts gives this show so much uniqueness. Can we just get more Selena Gomez acting and less music, please? Number 14, I've put season 1 of Our Flag Means Death. Taika Waititi was on a grind this year. His second entry in this list, spoiler, not the last one, is probably the weirdest idea for a story on this list. Doing a positive comedy about Steve Bonnet is actually quite insane. And this show pulls off this idea with flying colors. Not only is it super fun to watch and obviously funny because Taika Waititi is quite a funny guy, except for fucking Love and Thunder, but it flips the characters involved in a very interesting way. It had potential to be a show where crazy concept hides the lacking script, but it doesn't. The writers were not fucking around and wrote some of the most interesting and layered main characters in comedy this year. This show probably would have been much higher if I wasn't a big downer on pirate stuff. But if you like pirates, you will love this show. 13, we've got the third season of Barry. I love what they did with Barry, both as a show and as the character this season. This may be the only show in history where putting a more serious tone actually benefited the show, making it less of a comedy about a mercenary who doesn't want to be a mercenary, and making it more a psychological drama about a ticking time bomb but with few comedy elements. In my opinion, it worked wonders for this show. The characters were fantastic, the story was absolutely compelling, and it was all topped off with an excellent Bill Hader performance. This show was absolutely unbelievable in season 3. I need more Bill Hader with absolute freedom because this guy has some chops. Number 12 is season 2 of Hacks. Can we, as a society, please finally acknowledge that Jean Smart is an absolute goat? Please, she is untouchable by anybody. And this show is another proof, and in my opinion, the final proof anyone needs. She is beyond fantastic in this show. You will both hate her and love her at the same time. And I am physically unable to praise her enough. But, this show isn't just Jean Smart being the absolute greatest. This is also a very well written show about a side of show business that A, I basically never think about, nor did I ever care really. B, isn't really talked about outside the actual performance, I think. Maybe I'm uneducated, which I am, but it feels like stand-up comedy never gets the respect that it probably should. There is rarely a talk about stand-up comedians outside of their shows, and you know what? This show convinced me that there probably should be. Also, I wasn't convinced by Ava in season 1 and the way the character was acted, but season 2 is an unbelievable improvement, where now there are moments, multiple moments, where I think that she is at least as good as Jean Smart. and I can't give a bigger praise than that. Number 11 will probably be the most controversial pick on this list because it's season 3 of Stargirl. This is definitely not a show that everyone will enjoy. It's a show that most of you that watched it are probably baffled that this show is here. But god damn it, do I love it. This show is simply so wholesome. It just gives off such a nice vibe. Laying in bed under a blanket and watching a Stargirl was one of my favorite things this year. It's cheesy, it's corny, it's simple, it's really over the top, but it all adds up to such a fun experience. No other show makes me forget about world's problems and make me feel like everything is going to be alright like this show does to me. It's just a very cozy show. If you can even say that, that's probably incorrect way of using this word, but it gives me a smile, what can I say. On the 10th spot we have our third and final Taika Waititi appearance on this list, and it's Reservation Dogs Season 2. I did not get this show in season 1. I simply did not. I did not care for a single bit, and I was so fucking wrong. It's not even funny. The way these characters are written is unbelievable. Their traumas. They're trying to grow up, but still acting like kids because they are kids. And how their environment impacted them. All those things were something I completely missed when I watched season 1, but it hit so hard in season 2, my god. I felt for these characters, and the finale was one of the most emotional moments I ever felt in television ever. I won't pretend like I know anything about Native American history, culture, beliefs, and so on. I am from fucking Europe, I am uneducated, sorry. But this felt like one of not many pieces of culture that at the same time showed their rich history, their complex and interesting culture, but at the same time wanted to show them just as simple human beings. I cannot praise this show enough. Amazing, simply. Now at the 9th spot we have season 3 of Umbrella Academy. I can watch this dysfunctional family trying to save the world and fuck it up every single time for the rest of my life in a loop, and I would never get bored. This is relations between characters 101. Every single interaction between characters in this show is pure gold, and these actors have so much chemistry, it's not even funny. Again, the ones that shine the brightest are obviously Elliot Page and Aidan Gallagher. The idea for this season is super interesting, and it gives a lot of room for self-reflection for this merry band of losers. The character development is excellent, except for one, and this is the main reason the show isn't higher. In season 3, writers decided to make Allison actually absolutely unwatchable. I get what they were going for, but they failed miserably, and she made this show actually painful at times. But still, this show fucking bombs. Number 8 is The Boys, season 3. There is a lot of comedy and a lot of superhero on this list, but that's me, you know. This is the first season where I actually think that this show is as good as the hype would suggest. I had few big problems with season 1. The wasted potential of the politics side of the show was my main one. Season 2 was a bit better in its best stuff, but the worst stuff was left exactly as it was. But now I think they actually fixed this problem, and even the politics side of the show is absolutely fantastic, to a point where they didn't really bother me with anything while watching the show, which is a first. This show at this point is famous, and it's at the same time infamous for what it is. The craziness is absolutely unbelievable. The gore is unmatched, and it's a really interesting twist for an idea of a quote quote-unquote superhero story. All of this still makes this show an absolute must-watch in my opinion, and this season is better than this show ever was. The character progression is at its best, the writing is top, and the fucked up shit is more fucked up than it ever was. What else would you need? On number 7th, I've put We Own This City. This is definitely the most serious pick on this list, and I still feel like in any other year this would be much higher if I didn't need some more happy stuff to make me smile while watching TV. This show would probably be at least in top 3. I think this may be one of the best pieces of art that talks about the abuse of power by the police brutality, and the corruption injustice system in USA. This show pulls off no punches. It shows some real and painful moments of the police in Baltimore basically being a mob with law on their side. It's really a sad image of one of the most crime-infested cities in America, but except for the heavy topic shown in an excellent way, this show, in terms of its technical prowess and the acting side of things, adds to the experience hardcore. This show was made by people who made The Wire, and it honestly feels like a spiritual sequel to that show. It's directed in a very similar way. A lot of well-known faces from The Wire appear here and there, and if you like The Wire, how could you not, honestly? You will definitely feel some nostalgia while watching this. The entire cast, it's absolutely fantastic. But Jon Bernthal, he may have proven that he is one of the best actors out there. He is super versatile. It feels like he can play anybody, and this show is just another proof of that. I've seen some criticism of this show that it's actually a bit too one-sided, when The Wire was actually a bit more layered and tried to show both sides of the spectrum. But I think that the straight to the point approach this show has works much more with the topic at hand. For me, there is no sides of this argument. There is no layers to this shit. Fuck those cops. Something like this should have never happened. These people should have never gained any power, and fuck whoever gave them this power. I know I'm a Eurotrash. I know I don't know shit about America, but for me, this show showed it exactly how it should be shown. On the 6th spot, we have the season 4 of Young Justice. I just realized how good this top 7 is. This show isn't even in top 5. We Own This City isn't even in top 5. This year was actually kinda crazy. Also, from We Own This City forward, every show is a 10. This show is actually the perfect superhero anything. This show is absolutely unbelievable. It combined the best of anything superhero, which makes superhero whooping villains as fun in some high-octane action, with some of the best written characters anywhere and some of the most heartbreaking storylines in television. Dealing with depression, PTSD, death are some of the strongest motifs that ever graced a superhero anything. I also love how the show has matured with its audience without losing the spirit and why it attracted so many people to it. It never lost this vibe of fun superhero adventure that it had in season 1, but it got a lot more serious and brutal, which is an excellent and unique experience. You have to watch this show. If you think you are in any shape or form, in the smallest percentage, if you think you are a superhero enjoyer, you have to watch this show. The only reason it's not number 1, because it felt a bit too long, a tiny bit, but yeah, this show is unbelievable. Opening top 5 is The Sandman, actually season 1, because they renewed the show and Thank you, Netflix. Netflix likes to fuck shit up big time, and especially their adaptations. I don't know if they just didn't care enough about this show, or did they, for the first time in history, realize they have a universe on their hands that can print them money for years and years, and have some passionate people behind it with some excellent ideas, so they just let them work, let them do their stuff. I have no idea. Either way, this is the best live action fantasy anything that I have ever seen. Period. The world is actually unbelievable. It's so unique and so interesting and so rich. The writing is meant to make this world seem as fascinating as possible. And it succeeds big time. The characters are so unique, the visuals are breathtaking, and last but not least, every single story shown in this show is an absolute must-watch. When it comes to big budget television spectacles, there wasn't a better one in years, if ever. The first spot is taken by the actual greatest show of all time. No cap. Better Call Saul final season. Yes, I've said it. The greatest show of all time. If I took away all my weird preferences towards crazy and eccentric shows, this would be the number one. And it should be the number one. This is the best directed, best written, best acted, and delivered and thought out shows that have ever graced the planet Earth. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't find a single complaint about this show. For the first time ever, I am unable to nitpick. Even scenes/episodes that may feel a bit like filler are shot and directed so well that I cannot complain. These characters are all so great, layered, but also very natural and are acted in a perfect way. The way it works as a prequel, and in my opinion an upgrade to Breaking Bad, actually unbelievable. The directors knew perfectly that you know where it's all going, but they will give you the most exciting and unpredictable ride possible with great twists and turns that you wouldn't expect. And Better Call Saul, in my opinion, actually learned from Breaking Bad. Instead of making the same mistakes, they thought out the show much better as an entirety. So the story has a consistent and perfect pacing through its entire runtime. This is an actual masterpiece. If there was ever a show to watch, this is it, folks. But it's only fourth, because I do have my preferences. And maybe possibly I'm making a mistake by putting this show so low. But at the same time, I regret absolutely nothing, because number 3 is season 2 of fucking Chucky. This is some B-level trash, and I love every second of this. Chucky movies are my favorite movie series. I love the humor, I love the vibe, I love the slashing, I love the characters, actors, everything. Except Child's Play 3, but let's ignore that one. And Chucky the TV show is all of this, combined with some spice added and a lot of love from everybody involved. And this makes it probably the most fun to watch show I watched this year. This is not for everybody, obviously. But if you like slashers and slash or Chucky doll, this is an absolute treat. Everyone seems to have time of their lives being on this show, and this vibe of let's make the most fun and the most Chucky TV show of all time is so fucking infectious. This seems like the peak of comedy slashers, and I do be needing more of that, please. Please. And what's interesting, that between all the B-movie levels of fun, it actually gave us some great depictions of depression, addiction, and PTSD for obvious reasons. So there is some serious elements to it too, and they are all great. This is the most fun I had watching a TV show ever. So now it's time for the hardest part of the video. It was so difficult to choose one of those to put on number 1. I have almost the exact same level level of love for both these shows. I was physically unable to choose. I almost called it a draw at number 1, but then I found one pretty unconvincing reason, to be honest, to choose one over the other. But I have to choose something, so I will. Number 2 is season 3 of Harley Quinn. Thank you. Thank you to Harley Quinn, the TV show, for finally giving us, the viewers, what comic books were too afraid of, which is a proper fucking relationship between Harley and Ivy that won't end in a month because status quo or some other bullshit. This show in season 3 lives and dies by this pairing, and it is possibly my favorite relationship in a TV show maybe ever. After slowly building it up for 2 seasons, they found a perfect way to at the same time make them a happy couple that clearly loves each other, but at the same time don't make them perfect. They have issues, bigger ones, smaller ones, but that's the best part. It doesn't lead to their relationship getting worse or them even breaking up. It leads them to be better people and a better couple at the end. It may seem very simple, but these days this is a pretty rare treat. And let's be honest, and the rest of the characters ain't taking no shit for granted, and they are also absolutely fucking excellent. Clayface is somehow more ridiculous than ever, and I love it. King Shark is obviously the GOAT, and touch the King Shark, he is the greatest. Frank is absolute treat to watch, always. Catwoman gets more screen time this season, and she is absolutely excellent. This may not be. This is the best Joker since Mark Hamill, and he is as far from Joker the character as humanly possible. Again, Alan Tudyk. Also, this is one of the best Batman stories to ever grace our skins. And Batman in this show is an absolute joke, which is ridiculous. Them making fun of Batman made better Batman than Snyder, than Nolan ever even dreamed about. And everyone else who appears in the show, some smaller characters, some old faces that we love, are still absolutely amazing. And let's not forget, the biggest power of the show that is still present in season 3, and I call it I have a much better idea, simply. Which is quite simple. You think the show is going a very clear path, and you think you know exactly where this is going, and it's, basic TV show stuff. But this show, every single time, actually sets up an even better idea that you absolutely didn't see coming, but you actually should, because if at this point you don't believe in the creators of the show, you are the problem. They know better than to do some boring basic bitch stuff. They simply better than that. And the only reason the show is not number 1 is I actually exactly expected that the show will be as good as it was. I know, it's stupid, it's not much, but I guess it's something. So, number 1. What could possibly at number 1? What an amazing piece of television is Peacemaker. It had to be Peacemaker. It just had to be. This show was simply the best. I loved every single molecule of it. I love James Gunn. James Gunn is absolutely goated, and he just proceeded to make one of the most amazing shows I have ever seen. Let's start from the obvious. This show oozes the James Gunn style at its purest form. I like Guardians of the Galaxy, it's cool, but it wasn't James Gunn at his most unhinged. This is the creativity, the humor, the super weird character development ideas that work flawlessly every time. Those weird scenes that would have never worked, anyone else did them. Because it's James Gunn, everything just works perfectly, both on the fun scale and the great character scale. And last and certainly not least, and most importantly, in all of this chaos and creativity and weirdness and uniqueness, this show delivers some of the best characters and best acting performances of the year. I would never expect that after the end of James Gunn's Suicide Squad, I would ever feel sorry for Peacemaker. But you know what? This motherfucker did it. And honestly, I still cannot believe it. And I also cannot believe how good is John Cena at his role. I did not know that John Cena was even 10% as good of an actor as he was in this show. He was absolutely unbelievable. I could have never predicted that he could convey such emotional baggage while still being a great comedy actor as he is. I was always a big John Cena fan, mainly because wrestling, but my god, John Cena the actor is actually great. He already has a better role than anything The Rock ever did, which says something. But every single character in this show is so layered and interesting. Freddie Stroma as Vigilante and Robert Patrick as Perfect Evil Father were the biggest highlights for me, except for Peacemaker. Everyone that worked on this show should be absolutely proud of themselves, because they've made an absolute masterclass. And also, last but not least, this show has the best intro ever. It's not a debate, but hey, if you disagree with this list, if you want to share your favorite shows, maybe I've missed some, maybe you just want to discuss the list as a whole, or just year in general, drop down in the comments. I will be more than happy to talk about this stuff. Thank you for a pretty good year.